Hello, my name is Michelle and I'm coming to you from a small country town on the northwest coast of Tasmania, which is the little island at the bottom of Australia. Today I'm going to share with you a few of my finished projects, some works in progress and some future plans. This is heavily knitting inspired, this podcast, so if you're not interested in knitting, maybe you could go and check out one of my other videos. Anyway, here we go. So, what have I been doing? I have this last couple of weeks. I have a couple of finished objects. The first one being the Fall Bluff sweater. Now, this is a free YouTube tutorial with a printable pattern. So it's a top-down raglan knit in the round sweater, which I've never done before. So I thought I would give it a go. It's quite a good tutorial, although due to my mistakes as well as the wrong wool, the wrong lots of things, and not exactly understanding sweater construction. My sweater isn't quite it's not perfect. Nowhere near. Now I knit the sweater for the largest size that was on the pattern, which I think is doesn't really say, it was just 8, bust size 150.5 centimeters. So I knit the sweater for that. Now the Raglan Construction, and here's a peek. The Raglan Construction neckline. It was a very simple design. It's not anything. It's just a basic design. That came out quite nicely. The rib around the neckline, the Raglan Construction for the sleeves. However, for some reason the pattern told me to keep going and going and going and going, and the Raglan ended up quite deep. So deep, in fact, that I think it sits just above my belly button. So once I finished constructing the body, everything looked okay. I should have tried it on as I went, but no, being a bit of a semi-beginner, I didn't do that. So when it come to the sleeves, they became very wide. So look, I just knit along to finish the pattern, and I will rip it back and change it eventually. I think I needed to take off quite a few inches for the armpit depth in the raglan. So I will work that out eventually, and I do have some more of this wool in a paler colour that I knit a shawl with recently. So I might try it in the other wool, which is similar to this, with a different, a different sleeve raglan size. So I'll do that, and then if that all works out, then I'll rip this one back and re-knit this one as well. These colours are really, really not normally my colour. They are a bit brighter than what's showing on screen. As usual, I don't get very good lighting. They're actually turquoise, blue, and sort of an aubergine purple rather than what's showing up on the screen. Yeah, but anyway, I'll try and take a photo and add some at the end so you can see the true colours. So look, that was an interesting experience. I knit this up in 5 days. It's quite large quite thick wool. So there's the wool itself in the turquoise. I bought these in, if you're in Australia, you probably shop at, you probably shop at Spotlight. And they have those grab bags of millings, and they were on sale one day when I walked in there, and I got a couple of bags of these for $6 each, and it had 4 huge balls, and that knit this whole oversized, very oversized. It would fit me and 3 of my friends, and I'm not a small girl. Mostly my fault. I won't fault the pattern or the tutorial. So it cost me $12 to knit this in just some, Spotlight brand. I think it was Moda Vera Mega Tweed, but I can't tell you the exact colourway because I don't know. And this is the other colourway that I have also got. So it's a lot paler, with little speckles of similar colours as this through it. So I might try that out and see how we go. But overall, I was happy to, construct the top-down raglan sweater in the round. So that was a big learning curve. And I knitted up in 5 days, so I like that. The yarn's so chunky. So that's that one. My other finished object, and I'm not sure if I showed you this in the last episode. But anyway, I'm not sure if I was quite finished, but I'll tell you about it anyway. And this is Tess DUberville Shawl. So many of you have probably heard of Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I've heard of it. I couldn't really tell you too much more than that. But anyway, this is the shawl I knit. Now, I was originally trying to knit a similar pattern from the Alander knitting book, inspired by Claire's Sontag shawl, the wraparound shawl. But that pattern was a little bit hard to understand for beginner me. And I found this one, and this one was really nice. Now, I didn't use the wool weight provided in the pattern or the needle size. I didn't obtain gauge, but it all worked out in the end. So it calls for worsted weight yarn, 650 yards, and circular knitting needles, size 10 or 6mm, and some stitch markers. So I used some hand spun, which I don't know if it was worsted weight because I'm in Australia and I don't know these things. We have 4-ply, 8-ply, 10-ply. But I used some, I'm presuming it's probably smaller than worsted weight, finer than worsted weight, hand spun that I dyed myself, using coffee, onion skin and rose leaves. So that's the colours we got. I had to use 4 quite large balls for the shawl to sort of wrap around enough. It didn't quite tie up, but I added some I-cord ties so I can tie it in the back. And I love it. I've worn it a couple of times and I rarely wear knits. I'm a spinner, I'm a crafter, but I don't wear knits a lot that I've knit myself, which isn't many. So this is the first one I'm quite proud of. I wore it to the Launceston Spinning Open Day a couple of weekends ago, and everyone was really interested in it, asked about the pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I'll put all the links below. Quite a simple construction. By accident, not even knowing. I knew the spinning day was on, but I didn't know it was going to be a daffodil-inspired day and to wear yellow. And what did I bring? And we got these little knitted daffodils for coming along, and that looks wonderful on my shawl, so it's staying there. So I was very pleased with this one. I did only do the 3 colours to begin with, and then a few of the lovely people from Spinning Group helped pull back my bind off, and so I could add this 4th colour. And then I tinkered with doing some sort of a picot edge, which I did balls up a little bit to begin with, but I caught on quite well. It's not showing up quite as yellow, as vibrant, but it's quite a yellow orange in person. But yes, I'm very, very proud of this one, and I've worn it a couple of times. Although now it's, almost summer here in Australia, but it's still nice to throw over of an evening. Just something to bring along and throw over what you're wearing. So, finished objects. That are those. Makes a lot of sense. Anyway, so those are my finished objects. So, what am I working on? Well, I've been working on quite a few things, and I've ripped back quite a few things, and I've restarted and ripped back and put in lifelines and ripped back, and I've been having a wow of a time. But anyway, first, work in progress, and I may have shown you this last time. It is the Neuromintue Soul by Heidi Alander. I'm pretty sure I did show you this last time because I couldn't pronounce it then either. This is using some commercial white wool that I then solar dyed with plants. So I think after this episode I will rip this back. It is all sorts of weird shapes. The lace isn't working. I'm not good at reading charts. I've started writing the chart out so that I can do it that way next time, because I'm just not good at reading charts. I start from the left and keep going from the left and forget to start from the right, and vice versa. So, I mean, no one would know that the lace pattern is wrong, but I've made a mistake here. I think I've made one there. Another one here. It's not exactly going in the nice curve. I thought maybe blocking it might help, but I don't think so. I think it's a little bit too far gone. So, I just thought I'd show you that before I rip it back. And these are the colours I'm using at the moment. This one's like a variegated hand-dyed wool that I used, lots of different types of plants, and then I was going after that into this darker one, which is a mixture of cochineal and logwood, and I got the nice variegation by wrapping the skeins tightly and jamming them into the jar so not all of the wool saw the colour. But anyway, I may try and redo that shawl, or I may not. At the moment it's sitting over there in the naughty corner with a few other things. It's a lovely shawl. I'm just not getting it correct. I did, however, from the end of the pattern, learn how to do the picot edge for my Tess DUberville shawl. So there's the pattern there. Of course, it's backwards for you, but so it taught me something. Another pattern that taught me something for the Tess DUberville Shawl was the West Knits recent MCOW, which I learnt to do the I-cord custom, and that was it. Far too complicated for my little beginner brain. But look, it's there for later. All of the picking up stitches and things, my eyesight isn't brilliant, so, and I was using very fine wool, so maybe one day I will feel more confident. I've got the pattern there. But in seeing all the lovely finished creations, it's a really intriguing, interesting, unusual shawl, but it came together quite nicely. At first I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this, but in the end it has come together quite nicely, so maybe one day when I'm a bit more advanced in my knitting. I haven't really been doing much else than knitting recently. I just feel I need to sit and watch TV or watch a YouTube channel and do something with my hands. I haven't worked anything on my English paper pieced hexagon bag. I've been doing a little bit of solar dyeing, and I have ordered some beautiful some beautiful undyed sock yarn from a company in Australia. So it's an all Australian. Oh, I went a bit blurry then. It's all Australian wool, so that will be really nice. I have felt the base. A few weeks ago, another lady I know uses that base, and it's so soft and lovely. So I will be dyeing up some sock yarn very soon. Hopefully I will be able to use it. Otherwise, yeah, no. I will probably pop it in my market stall at Penguin until I'm a... It seems like I can't knit at all, doesn't it? On to my next work in progress. Now, I've been watching a YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of the channel, but she has this pattern where she goes through the process of knitting toe-up socks on using the magic loop, and they're called the boiled socks. And you can download the pattern and print it out. So, I think I have pulled this back, I don't know how many times, but it's no fault of the pattern, it's just me. I've got to this stage twice. The second time I put some yarn through to, what do you call it? I did say it earlier. That's gone. Anyway, like a safety net, you know, if I keep going, I can pull it back to there rather than have to start it completely again. So I have done this twice. I'm using Bendigo woolen mill sock yarn, and I dyed this with St John's wort a number of years ago. Again, this is a lot brighter in person than it's showing up. But I'm very pleased with this construction so far. The first time I knit it, I did it in the larger size, and it was, probably could have worn it as a beanie. It was very big, so when I ripped back, I went down a size. So I have attempted the heel 3, maybe 4 times. So I attempted the heel that the young lass that did this pattern did, and she used the wrapping technique, which I muddled. I muddled it up. I just, too much for my brain. I muddled it up. I tried it again, I muddled it up again. And then I came across another pattern, another tutorial on YouTube, which was the German short row heel tutorial by Wendy Poole. It was very straightforward, I thought. I got the whole bottom of the heel, it started to come up, it started to shape. I did the 2 rounds, and then when it came to knitting those, you had to lift the stitches to make extra stitch or something or rather. When it came to knitting those together, I'm quite happily knitting along, and one side was working perfectly, the decreasing back down for the heel, and the other side, I thought, was there a hole there? And well, it had dropped on almost every row that I'd done. It had dropped the stitches, and it was only happening on the one side, which was a little bit frustrating. So I have ripped back to this point 3 times now, I think. My wool's getting a little bit fuzzy, but that's okay. They're only for me. And I will try again. At the moment, I'm working on other things, a few simpler things to, settle my brain a little bit, but I will get back to them. Hopefully soon. Not something I should be doing while I'm tired. By the way, sorry for the squeaking chair. It's horrible. It squeaks all the time. So, this will probably be a fairly short video. What else have I been working on? I have been working on some squares for a charity blanket. I attend a community-run place in Tasmania, in Somerset. It's a short drive from my home, and the ladies there often knit for charity. So what I have been knitting now, I did do a nice scarf a few weeks ago, but now I am knitting squares to pop together to make a blanket. Now the ladies, they stitch all the squares together, make the beautiful knitted blankets, and they are handed out to hospitals, homeless shelters, etc. I was a little bit worried that they were going to end up in like a second-hand store and be sold for, extensive price that the homeless can't afford. But I was very happy to find out that no, they actually donate them to the places that need them. So that's what I'm working on. They're just your average mitre knit squares. Just a simple construction. Simple construction. I simply start with casting on, and then you knit front and back of the first stitch, knit along. To increase and to decrease, I knit to the last 3 stitches, knit 2 together and knit 1. Once they're all stitched up, they will be nice. I've also got some other colours, so I've got the yellow and the blue and some shades of green in this 8-ply wool. So that's just a nice simple thing that I can take with me to the market or to anywhere I go and knit on without having to think too much. So that's those. I haven't really been working on. Well, I have actually. I've been crocheting lots of the coloured squares for my Battenberg blanket for the Happy Scrappy Blanket Mail with finished knitting stories. I haven't really done much of constructing them, like putting them together, which I should, but I'm just enjoying the process of crocheting the squares at the moment. So that is still happening. Future plans. Well, this beautiful shawl. This is the Joyful Shawl. And I came across this beautiful pattern after watching another YouTube channel called Kia Spod. She's a Swedish knitter, and she had knit this lovely shawl. It's white, navy blue, and kind of a mustard yellow in the pattern, which I love. However, I had bought the Holst yarn kit for the Stephen West MCAL, and I quite liked the colour combinations of that, which is kind of a rusty brown with tones of orange, rust, you know, lovely rusty caramelly tones, and a beige. It's more beige than grey, like it's showing on the screen. A beige, and then a deep brown. Oh, and there's my iCord cast on for the West Knits MCAL. That's as much as I did. Oh dear. So I began knitting this, as you can see by the rewound, poor looking thing here. I began knitting this, and look, I got close. I was on 190 odd rows when I noticed, whoops, I missed a row, and I started increasing on the decrease row. And rather than the shawl curving like a nice boomerang on one end and, you know, a straighter edge on the other end, I somehow made the straight edge do this, and then maybe this. We had a bit of a S. So maybe me. I ripped it right back. Still have it all here in my bag. I have my needles, my 3.5 millimeter knit pick circular needles, which I quite enjoy, the bamboo. I still have that here. I have it all sitting here nicely together in the West Knits MCAL bag. Naughty, naughty. And I will, once I maybe after I get over Christmas, I will recast that on. It's a beautiful shawl. I was quite excited by the length I was getting. Yes, so that will go back on the needles soon, but not quite now. Another thing I have coming up in November. So for anyone local to, you know, the northwest of Tasmania, the Vinnie's Hub in Somerset, Tas, they host quite a lot of workshops. So, and I go there for the journaling, for the knitting, some other workshops. They have things like soap making, ceramics, basket weaving, lots of things that I'd love to do all of them, but I don't have the time. And the lovely Michelle, of course, there's always more than one of us. She asked me a few times if I would do a workshop on my eco printing, so I will be hosting a workshop on the 19th of November at the Vinnie's Hub in Somerset. Now, if you'd like to know anything further about that, write a comment below. Workshop will be $40. You'll learn some tips and tricks about eco printing and get to take home a lovely cotton bag that you printed yourself. So that will be a lot of fun, and I'll try and take lots of photos and add them to a future podcast. Anyway, it's a lovely day out there. We've had lots and lots and lots of rain in Australia recently. Lots of roads have been closed, including just up the road from us. It's closed each end. Bridges have been out of order. People have had to drive, 2.5 hours to get from Somerset to Burnie, which is normally a 10-minute drive. So hopefully they get the bridges open again now, thankfully, but hopefully they get all these roads and things repaired pretty soon for those who it is affecting. Luckily, it doesn't affect us too much. We're this side of the bridge and this side of the broken road. School buses are doing it hard. They're not able to get right through for all the kids in the country, but hopefully they get it all fixed up. The weather's lovely, so they may be able to get out there and get it done. And I will be heading off shortly to town to buy some milk because I'd love another cuppa and I ran out. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below, and I will add some details in the description of everything I'm working on, what kind of yarn and needles, etc. And I will talk to you again in the future. Hopefully it won't be 2 weeks next time, but with Christmas coming up, it could well be. So anyway, I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now.